as well. Now, moving on to Europe, Germany's finance minister Lars Klingbeil is set to become the coalition government's first cabinet member to visit China, arriving in Beijing amid growing pressure to show Berlin has a firm grip on its China strategy. The visit comes as Germany faces a record trade gap with China and renewed supply chain concerns, particularly around rare earth metals and automotive chips. Klingbeil's trip was delayed for months following the cancellation of Foreign Minister Johann Wadephul's visit after Beijing declined key meetings. Officials say Klingbeil will focus on major trade issues, including China's export limits on rare earths, with positions coordinated in advance with EU trade policymakers. The minister meets Vice Premier He Lai-feng for the German-Chinese financial dialogue, accompanied by Bundesbank President Joachim Nagel and industry representatives later in this week. He will travel to Shanghai to meet German mid-sized firms before continuing on to Singapore. Now for this discussion, we welcome back Professor Stefan Nagy. He's a professor at International Christian University, joins us live from Tokyo. Thank you very much, Professor, for staying with us. Now looking at this, how might this Klingbeil's visit influence Germany's ability to balance economic dependence on China? And why do you think they're sending him and not Wadephul this time? And what will it do for the EU's push for a tougher, more coordinated China strategy?
So there's a lot of moving pieces to the puzzle here, but Germany, like many other European economies, are struggling balancing their economic relationship with China, which is broadly beneficial, and their growing security challenges associated with China indirectly, but also directly. We should remember that it's China through third countries that's keeping the Russian war machine working and keeping those attacks on Ukraine. And the Europeans are deeply worried about this. So they are trying to talk to Beijing through this, and I think they feel that if they don't engage in trade, they're not going to be able to talk about the other issues that they're worried about in terms of Russia's invasion of the Ukraine. On the other hand, they are thinking about how they can keep their economic ties with Beijing while creating a distance or selectively diversify away from China, or what the Europeans call de-risking. The choice of leaders to visit, again, I think that the Germans want to be sensitive to not send their highest delegation or their highest representative to China to reward China in the case of its bad behavior vis-a-vis supporting Russia's war in Ukraine. But at the same time, they want to show face to the Chinese to show that, yes, Germany takes them seriously, they recognize them as an important economic partner, and that they want to have an economic relationship, but at the same time deal with the security differences that they have.
And do you think there's a difference between German interest and EU's interest here? And how might divergences between German interests and German national interests and broader EU strategic goals complicate Berlin's ability in these talks?
So the European Union is fracturing, and this is a challenge, I think, for any European country's engagement with China or any other country. But Germany is the biggest economy in Europe. It really is the kind of the center of gravity of where the European economy is going. And if they are moving first to normalize or somehow stabilize relations with China, then the question is this: what will other countries do? And not all the European countries are feeling security anxious with China. For example, Hungary has quite strong relations with China, with strong investment in its economy by China, and that's the same with some other Central European countries. So if Germany heads this way, the question is, where will the European Union go? And at this stage, I think it's split. As the more nationalist or more inward-looking parties, like the one in Germany that's been elected, do congregate and get more power, we're likely to see policies that reflect national interests vis-a-vis China rather than European interests. And in this sense, I think we'll see a divergence of not only Germany, but other European countries compared to the broader European Union and their engagement with China.
And in case the talks fail this time, what are the political implications for Germany?
So, these meetings, when a top leader does come, really is not so much about the detailed negotiations, because most of that hard work has been done prior to visiting. They wouldn't have had the visit unless most of the hard work has been done. It's about pushing things across the finish line and putting a bit of icing on the cake, as we say, getting those last minute aspects of whatever deal that they've negotiated. How will this impact Germany over the short term? Any kind of economic injection be would be helpful for Germany. Germany's economy is not in the most positive states right now. It's still dealing with the impact of COVID-19, the influx of migrants from 2015, and the general European malaise in terms of their economic development and innovation and competitivity, especially vis-a-vis the United States. So anything will help. The question is how much whatever deal that they agree to will have immediate effects for the ordinary German.
Right. With that, I would like to thank Professor Stefan Nagy for joining us today and sharing that insight throughout our news. Thank you very much. Now we move on to South Korea. Local police has said that South Korean actress and K-pop singer Nana has managed to overpower a home intruder alongside her mother. A man in his 30s broke into the K-pop star's home in the suburbs of Seoul to steal valuables. However, the 34-year-old Nana and her mother were able to fight him off until he was arrested. The suspect reportedly threatened both women and demanded money after breaking into the house. South Korean media has reported that Nana was injured in the scuffle and her mother suffered serious injuries and lost consciousness. They're both being treated at the hospital. Now, the suspect is in custody on charges of aggravated robbery. Now we move on to Bangladesh. Bangladesh is on